Well, I think we've got 6 people in the room,
Yep.
maybe.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions that you want to, or comments?
Yeah, since we've got a small group, if anybody wants to come up on stage here, we can put you on camera and on voice. Bueller? Bueller?
Let me ask you, is anyone doing a water project right now, a water sanitation or hygiene project?
I know Dean McHugh, the Holman Club, has done one recently, and then I know our the After Hours Lacrosse Club, we're doing a project. We've got a conversation going with a club we have a relationship in Mexico with, that we're doing a clean water project. Their communities are built on limestone in the Yucatan Peninsula, so even if they're able to get water from the wells, it comes up with such a heavy mineral content that it causes kidney stones and gallstones. I mean, in like young children. Mm-hmm. So we're doing some filtration projects, and we've done district grants in the past, and now we're actually trying to do a global grant with them to put more filters in more schools down there. So.
Oh, okay. So with that, do you have a wash initiative with it as well?
It's just water filtration at this point. So
okay. Did you get a grant yet for it, or?
We got a district grant. We have not. They just put together a draft on the global grant, so we're going to try and do that, I think, here in this coming Rotary year. So
okay, whatever you do, make sure there's a component on what they call wash. It's really the hygiene component, because that's one of the things they have found is that if you don't have a hygiene component, it was hard for the projects to be sustainable and successful.
Okay.
So
that's great.
And there's lots of people, especially in Latin America, that have wash experience.
Okay. No, that's great. I appreciate that. I appreciate that advice. So why don't hey, Dean McHugh, why don't you come up on stage and tell us about some of your projects? So Dean, just press the share video and audio up at the top right corner. There you go. All right, you're up, Dean.
Hi, Josh. Yep, hey. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, now we can.
Yeah. I can't get my camera on, but that's fine. You can hear me. That's all that really matters. Our club's been involved with water projects in primarily Peru since 2008, 2009. Done a number of them. Started out with biosand water filters, and now are using a more centralized system through Water Missions, which is a group you may have heard of, Pat. That's the NGO we're working with now. But all of those projects have had a wash component to them. Mm-hmm. Water and sanitation, hygiene training is built in to the cost of the project for sustainability. And the ones we're doing now with, or the ones we've done more recently, I should say, through Lakewood Ranch Rotary Club in Florida. We always have a partner club in Peru, and then Water Mission out of South Carolina. These projects typically now have like a water utility that's set up. So the residents of the village actually pay for their water, but they pay pennies. They pay basically enough that a fund can be set up that if the system needs a part, or if there's some chemical needed for the treatment process or things like that, there actually is a very small amount of money accumulating. And that they tell us that also tends to create some ownership in the process and decreases the likelihood that you're going to have left behind technology, that 10 years from now is just sitting there not working.
No, that's a great way for sustainability. And I think that the message that many projects are getting is if you have the buy-in from the community, but it's also they need the funds to maintain it. because, as you go away and they become, the operators of it, they definitely need some support. So I do think that that's the wave of the future to make it sustainable. And it sounds like you had no issues putting that in place.
No, one of the things I liked about your presentation, Pat, and I know Josh is very involved in water projects too. None of the three of us is a water and sanitation engineer, but we don't need to be. Now, our friend and fellow Rotarian Mark Broses, who also is very involved in water, he is an engineer. So it's good to have those kind of folks.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to be one because they're out there. They're in the NGOs that we work with, and a lot of times the feasibility studies and things like that have been done ahead of time, and looking for some people with a passion to become the international club that helps to bring the funding about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I always look at, what's the end? What's the outcome that you want to achieve? And I think with water and sanitation engineers, again, I couldn't do what they do at all. I don't have that knowledge, that expertise. But I do know if you're putting in clean water, there better be some good health outcomes for the community. Or if you're using it for, growing crops or whatever, but there needs to be some sort of outcome. So I agree. It's their passion that you bring.
Yeah. And I think you also said in your presentation, Pat, about how water becomes the root of a lot of other things, or how without water, a lot of other things that you would want to improve really can't improve. One of the things that our club's been fortunate in, having continued to do projects in Peru, is as we've made subsequent visits for subsequent projects, we're nearby and we're able to go back and visit our old projects. And we still, as recently as about 2 years ago, I think now, we still get back to our very first project from 2009 and check on that community and check on the leaders in that community that helped get that project going. And there are so many things that have changed for the better in that community because they now have safe water and aren't spending all their resources trying to figure out how to treat the poor water that they had. The buildings look better. The stores look nicer. Clinic has popped up. The schools look nicer. Just everything in that community has improved immensely over the last 10, 11 years. And it all starts with the water projects.
It does. And I've seen that in India too. In a project I worked on, we put in a water well, but we also put in a bathhouse for the women, because the women would go out to the fields to relieve themselves and they'd get attacked. But we brought an architect with, they designed the bathhouse. And so I went back, similar to you. I was a little nervous how things would be in shape about 9 years later, and it was impeccable. And they did pay a couple of pennies each month for somebody to maintain the systems, but it just changed the community. No longer was it, the dirt roads, they actually had paved roads. So yeah, it really makes a huge difference. Anyone else want to share what they're doing? Tom or Mick, or I see Alan Selena. Tom Noblock. Is anyone else doing a water project or thinking about a water project?
Here comes Alan.
Okay, great.
Good evening.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm appreciating everybody's comments and everybody's participation. It's nice to know that there are some Rotarians still working at this time of night.
It is. I know Mary Beth is heavily involved in water projects. How about you?
No, not so much. I'm kind of past my prime, but I think about it and I still am curious and watching. I know the district has done a lot of things. Dean's clubs and other clubs in the district are doing things, and I've thought for a long time that it's important, and knowing that projects start with clean water, because it makes all the difference in the world, it seems. And it's just that, think 20 years ago, before our projects really got off the ground and started, they've made a tremendous difference worldwide and in our own district, with people being involved in lives of people in other communities. So it's great. And I'm kind of through the back door on WASH group. I get to listen to it most of the time for board meetings and stuff. So but it's fascinating, the work that people are doing. So I appreciate your comments and everybody's comments tonight here on this panel. Thanks for being here.
And anyone else? Thank you, Alan. Because one of the things I have to say is the WASH Rotary Action Group is a very, I find it to be so helpful.
Yes,
Hi. And the people that are involved in the WASH Rotary Action Group are so passionate about what they're doing. And like I said, you don't have to be a water engineer or sanitation expert. You just have to have a passion for what water can do and how it can change lives. Tom, do you want to share?
Well, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I happen to be president of Home and Area Rotary Club this year, which is Dean McHugh's club. So he laid the groundwork for everything that we're trying to help with going forward. So I don't have much to add to what Dean has already shared. So unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to get to Peru yet to see the good work that we've done there, but it's certainly on my bucket list, and I would like to, if in the future we take a trip down there, I would like to certainly do that. So
I think if when you see sites, if you go and do a site visit, and if you do the before and after, like Dean was talking about,
yeah.
And it is a world of difference, the impact that it has on a community. And the people there are so grateful. When we did that bathhouse and water well, there was a woman, she was a grandmother, and she was shorter than me, and I'm short. So she was shorter than me, and she just collapsed in my arms and said, I've been waiting for this. I thought I would have clean water for my daughter, but at least my grandchildren now have clean water. Yeah. And it was, it's something we take for granted is having it, in developed countries, and they struggle. They just, the muddy water that they drink because there is no other source, the loss of life.
About 3 years ago, my wife and I had an opportunity to go to Ghana in Africa and work with their project fairs and immunization clinic. And we got to go to a school project there where they were adding on. And it was just mind-boggling to me that all the work they do there is by hand. They don't have the bobcats and the neat equipment that we have. They carry the mud and cement and the blocks. They move them from place to place with a wheelbarrow. It's all hand labor. Mm-hmm. And I was so astonished at how hard those people work.
It is. And, when you think about it, I was in a part of Kenya where they would, and this is in the HIV/AIDS community, mm-hmm. before we brought in the water well, and they would walk 1.5 miles to get water and 1.5 miles back. And they would carry jugs of, plastic jugs, because they used the water to barter for food. Because again, there was no money there. It was all bartering. And it just, when we put in the water well, and this, this young boy, he was the head of the household, 3 other children, and his parents had died. So he was head of the household. He was about 16 years old. And he said, this is like the happiest day of my life, because he was getting, barrels, and now he could go and sell water, not just barter it for food, but to make an extra profit off of it. It was just amazing.
No worries.
Hi, Bill.
Oh, he's mute.
We didn't mute you.
Well, technically I did, because he was getting some background noise. Now he's got to unmute himself.
Okay.
There you go.
This is how Josh plays games with me all the time. He does this. He's got
That's how
3
we-
good friends of mine on the call here. You got Josh, you got Tom, good looking beard there, and you got Super McHugh
Yeah.
and monitoring from the background. So yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
lacrosse
maybe-
area people, Pat. These are all lacrosse, Wisconsin, or lacrosse area people. Holman and
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't
Maybe this year I'll
lacrosse
get back to
great
being
water?
silent.
What's that, Pat?
Isn't lacrosse known for its water?
we have a lot of it. We have a lot. And see, now what happened, Pat, there, happens in our district all the time. I said lacrosse. And as soon as I said lacrosse, Tom Kennedy heard that and said, wait a second, I got to get somebody in here from the Madison you're in Wanakee, Tom, right? Wanakee? Where are you at, Tom?
Yeah, Wanakee.
Yeah, see, I got it right. That's pretty good. Give me a brownie point for getting that one right. Yeah, so that's how it works. But
So where's Wanakee?
North of Madison.
Oh, okay. I'm somewhat familiar with Wisconsin. I went to Marquette and had a great time. So that's why I know when I mentioned lacrosse, it was the water and the beer.
and a long drive from Marquette.
Yeah.
I know that is. You were on the desert side of the state versus the pretty side of the state, we always say.
Well, the beer flowed pretty good there. So,
Pat, I was wondering while you were giving your presentation, is Mary Beth Groundy Celine an ambassador, a board member, a warrior? What is she on your team?
she's everything.
Of course.
No, Mary Beth is on the board of directors of WASH.
Okay.
And she's just rolling off the operations team. She's the one that has brought in a lot of funding for the initiatives. She's a go-getter, definitely, and very passionate about water and sanitation hygiene. So, yeah, she is.
Certainly
She's amazing.
Certainly
Yeah.
a force of nature. Yeah.
Yes. And I think somebody mentioned Bob Stroud. Oh, that was, he was my classmate. So.
Good old Bob.
Yeah. A great guy, another great guy.
When I visited, all of our visits this year, Pat, were virtual, right? Because of COVID. And so I actually pre-recorded the Downtown Madison Club's presentation. I taped it. And I bet the club $50 that I could bet what color Rob Stroud's bow tie was going to be. And I had filmed this in advance, and no one would take the bet, and I would have won. I had the bow tie color right. So Rob is he's a primary color guy. Unless he really goes out there on the edge, he's a pretty straight shooter. So
Was it blue?
it was red.
Red? Okay. Okay.
I wasn't there, but I was told it was red. I had Jason Barron said to tell me what color it was. So I'm sorry to interrupt. This was popping in.
No.
So well moderated, Josh. Exceptional job as usual.
It's tough with such a rambunctious group. I mean,
So Pat, one of the questions I had of the other group when I popped in was, as from the RAG's point of view, are most of the questions you get from a club looking for a project or looking for some help because some champion has an idea and doesn't know where to get started? What's the most common reason that a club reaches out to a Rotary Action Group?
I think those are the two reasons. One, they may be stuck on a project, or they could have an idea they want to do a water project, but they have nobody technical. And so we do have a team of technical people that can help them guide them through a project. So yes, there is that level of technical assistance that's available. And it's really key because Rotary really monitors the water projects just to make sure that, all of the tests are done beforehand, the samples and that, and then there's samples and testing done afterwards. Because the worst thing is you don't want to have Rotary put in water well that makes people ill. So that's a key component, especially for people that, like in healthcare that say, yeah, we need clean water. But I don't know anything about what has to be done or the tests. And then the other is we do have people that come and say, I'd like to work on a water project. Are there any opportunities? And right now, there is an opportunity with what's called hand wash. I don't know if you're familiar with, it's HANWASH.
Mhm.
It's the project in Haiti.
Mm.
And so Haiti is looking for people that want to take a leadership role on a project in Haiti in a water well. So I think there's two levels of assistance that are provided. One is to identify a project. And if you identify a project, it also means they probably need some help and what has to be done. And then the other is where they have an idea or they have a partner in another country and they need assistance. So the wash rag can help them in all of those areas, So it's really scaled depending upon need.
Gotcha. It's one of those things that we started the International Service Committee in the district this year to try to be that conduit that can bring these things together. You have the lone passion person out in the club that wants it and just is so frustrated, doesn't know how to get rolling. So the ISC is there. I see RAGS as a connection to ISC too, because they're here comes that person in, has an interest. Tom has an interest in supporting Santa Claus Anonymous, and he wants to bring that together. And if there's through the ISC, if there's a Rotary Action Group that can help bring that together, that would be great, and huge. Because and selfishly, and Mr. McHugh would back this up, as and you, Pat, as well, you as past district governors. The most common email in your inbox, if you don't recognize the name of it, is somebody from around the world trying to pitch you on their next coolest thing. And you're going, if you we literally dedicate and were present for their emails, you'd fall over of exhaustion. And
Right.
it's nonstop. So you literally just kind of go and it flops out the back door. Like the Haiti thing came through, I saw, Alan just tried to come in. Oh, you got him, Josh? Haiti came through, and I went, oh, look at it's Tom Knobloch's long lost their relatives connected there. Hey, Al.
Another Santa.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was going to jump in and just say I'd be interested in getting together on that new group or that Santa group.
We'll have to contact Pat Stevens.
Yeah, we'll have you contact Pat. Pat will find a way to put a whole conference around it, and we'll have a festival. And
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Carry on. Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see you, Al. But no, I mean, that's serious, Pat, is how how you can funnel these things that are coming at you all the time, because you want to, somebody's behind it, and it's important to them.
Yes.
But it doesn't become important to you because it's one of 4,000, and you just don't know how to.
But I got an email from a woman down in our paired group in 25A. We're zone 29, and then we've got 25B and 25A, and that's the Latin America. And what she said is, they're still heavy in COVID and that. And she said, we have these needs, and she identified just about everything you can imagine. But she said, I'd like to first get you to understand our culture down here and our community. And so they've invited clubs and districts to a celebration. So it's not just, in these COVID times, it's pretty hard for most Americans to travel. And you may get into a country, you may not get back into the U.S. So it's that cultural exchange that's going on, and so you get to know the people, you get to know a little bit about their community. They usually take their phones and walk around the community and show you sights and that. And I have found that to be a great connector right now, especially during COVID times, when people can't travel and you can't travel to their countries, but the needs are still there. And that's something to think about, is developing, when you're working on a project, to open it up, especially now that we're all experts on Zoom, to open it up to the club so that they can see and participate in the projects as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that got Josh's ears going there. That's one in our club in La Crosse, Rotary, the After Hours Club. We've actually, with purpose, tried to find projects around the world that we can make that type of connection, Pat, where either our interest of travel or an interest in the area takes us to a place. You make it a point to visit the Rotary clubs in the area. I know most of us on this call do that. Nothing's more, I think happiness is when you get to a Rotary club when you don't understand a single word they are saying in the club. That is, to me, the most fun. And there's just a lot of smiling and nodding. And inevitably, the next day, someone will find out where you are staying. They will call you on the phone. They will speak English. They will invite you for a tour, which really means, let me show you the projects. And you get a chance to really connect. And in the case of Josh and what he did in Mexico down by the lead, instead of, we probably had the ability to work a project that could have taken care of the whole thing within a 1 or 2 year period. But we chose on purpose to slow it down so that we could develop a longer term process, relationship with these people. And we now have that I know that my friend Josh and I and others are looking for what's next. Is it Indonesia, or is it where else is in the world? But instead of waiting for it to come to you, we're going to go get it. And that's the difference. So I'll stop talking, but I'm going to run out from the room. Pat, good to see you.
Nice to see you. Congratulations, Bill. Wonderful, wonderful conference, and so innovative. That's what I love about it.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Yes. And good King Wenceslas, both of you guys, Tom, Alan, good to see you.
You bet.
Take care. Take care.
The best part for anybody who's traveled internationally with Bill is when he gets somewhere where they don't speak the language, he speaks very slowly and with a heavy Jamaican accent, very loudly. But yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Well, Mexico is one of our paired districts as well. And we're talking about, who knows how this will turn out, but to have a zone institute where that people can either stay in, the zone 29, 25B, or go to Zone Institute in South America. And Mexico is very interested in hosting it.
Mm-hmm. That'd be very cool. So yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I've been most excited about having a zone that's mixed to get some different perspectives. I mean, Texas is great, but I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to see something a little bit different than Texas and Canada. So,
yeah, it is. And we have, our club has a project in Honduras, a few of them, and again, tied to water and education. But we ran into some problems early on. The 2 hurricanes hit them and, wiped out part of the construction in that. So we're relocating the projects, but now they're hit with COVID. And what you'll find in a lot of the Latin American countries is less than 1% of their population has had a vaccine. So it's going to be a while, unfortunately. So I think if we can do things virtually and develop that cultural exchange, I think that helps. That helps people understand a little bit about the communities, but they can still be working on the ground and getting projects done. Okay, well, I see we're beyond a little bit of the time. Does anyone else have anything else? Well, I want to know about this Santa Club that you're starting. Is that going to be a fellowship or a Rotary Action Group?
I think it should be a fellowship.
Okay, now if you've ever, I don't know if anyone's ever gone to Africa. They're known for the palm wine. Okay, so we have a gin fellowship, we have a beer fellowship, a wine fellowship. They're now just approved a palm wine fellowship.
Okay.
And if you've ever had palm wine, ooh, it's potent. I mean, you can feel it go down you.
Oh, no.
It's not like wine. It's really, I just think it's just pure alcohol. So a Santa Club would be refreshing.
I think so. Pat, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed your session.
Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you. Yes.
it's great seeing all of you. So it has been wonderful. And Josh, it's great to see you again. He helped us out on some foundation issues. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Pat, good to see you. Thank you very much again for all your efforts and for everything that you're going to do in the present and in the coming years for Rotary. You're just getting started here. Thanks.
It is fun. I've got some trailblazers that have been in front of me paving the way. So
You've got some good ones. You've got some good ones. I'll admit that.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks again.
Thank
Hi
you.
to everybody else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night, everyone.
See ya. Thank you, Pat.
Good night.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Pat.
Night.